What's up, Wall fans? That's right, it's Thursday night. If you caught the teaser and the weird little studio thing we did tonight, you know already it's Thursday. It's Go Tell Us the Wall podcast night. And it is officially episode 41. We're going live tonight with episode 41. That's right, it's Thursday night. We're going to have some fun tonight. Going live, episode 41. So stick around. We will be watching the comments, always responding when we can. Bridget will be on. Bridget will be on there. Not referencing my sister Bridget, who is currently watching the live feed. Bridget, who is our on-air producer, will be joining us hopefully shortly. So stick around for that as well. We're going to get right into it. Episode 41. Let's have some fun tonight. I've had a weird week. I mentioned that a little bit in the teaser. We'll get into that a little bit. I did have a weird week, but we're going to have some fun tonight. And I've got, I would say, dare I say, interesting content. Possibly interesting. But I do promise you there's a lot of common sense in here. The Orange Menace got a little unhinged today. What a surprise. The Orange Menace said something stupid. What a surprise. Let's get into it right now. Episode 41 of Go Tell Us the Wall podcast. And if you don't know who I am, I don't know how you found this, but I am the one and only Sean O'Rourke. We're getting into it. Here we go. All right, Wall fans, welcome to another exciting edition of Go Tell Us the Wall podcast. I am your host, as always, the one and only Sean O'Rourke, and this is episode 41. That's right, episode 41 of Go Tell Us the Wall podcast. We're moving right along. As per usual, this evening, we do have the live feed going on Facebook. So for those of you that only get the audio, if there's a little confusion, don't worry about it. We're just interacting with the live feed. So thanks for joining us, those of you on the live feed and those of you listening to the audio. As I mentioned, this is episode 41. We got a lot of stuff to talk about this evening. I will be honest. I teased a little bit on the teaser video on Facebook I've had a very weird week, a very, very, very weird week, and it's kind of, I don't want to say it's negatively affecting the podcast, but it was, I'll be honest, a little tough to get everything together for the podcast tonight. And so I'll talk a little bit about that in the opening, just so everyone's aware, because it does go back to kind of what I've talked about on previous episodes of the podcast. So we'll get into that a little bit. All right, social plugs as usual, as always. This is where we monetize. This is where we need all of your interaction. I know everyone, we have the most subscribers really just on the audio feed and on the podcast itself. We really need to continue building everywhere else, so we're going to do the social plugs as per usual. If you're a Facebook user, you like the Facebook interface, check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/GoTellItToTheWall. If you're a Twitter user, you can follow us on Twitter at TellTheWallPod or at Magic Muppet. And of course, if you enjoy perusing the YouTube videos and the YouTube content, just don't be looking at that Logan Paul shit that's up there still, then you can find us on YouTube. Just search Go Tell Us the Wall on YouTube and you will surely find our channel. And of course, most importantly of all of those things would be SeanO'RourkeLive.com. That's right, SeanO'RourkeLive.com. If you're having trouble finding any of those sites that I just mentioned, any of those social media platforms, SeanO'RourkeLive.com is kind of your one-stop shop for all of those platforms. You can get to all of those platforms through SeanO'RourkeLive.com, and of course we have some content up there that you really can't find anywhere else. There's some pictures and videos that are only on the website, and of course that's really your best way to get to Patreon. I think you can access Patreon through the Facebook page as well, but check out the site. Check out the site. Come on, check it out, SeanO'RourkeLive.com. You all know that you're going on these websites and checking out the Kardashians and watching a bunch of cat videos, and in fact, if you look at the Twitter followers that the Orange Menace has, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Now, I'm not saying I need that this podcast deserves the same amount of followers as the Orange Menace, but come on, if you're following and if you follow him because you like it, that's fine. You like the Orange Menace, you're probably not listening to this podcast because you would be extremely offended. But the majority of the people that I know that are following him aren't following him because they like him. So maybe give us a little follow as well. Come on, bring it, Wall fans, bring it. We want to continue growing that stuff. Another thing, top of the show, I've been teasing this for months, and that would be the Go Tell Us the Wall podcast stickers. Well, they are officially, I don't want to say they are officially in production, but we are officially in the design phase. It is literally being designed right now. And so we are getting those as soon as the design is done. They will go to the printer and we will have them produced, and we will be able to give out some Go Tell Us the Wall podcast stickers. How do you get a sticker, you ask? Well, the best way to get a sticker, a Go Tell Us the Wall official Go Tell Us the Wall podcast sticker, would be to check out Patreon, donate, become a patron, and I guarantee you're going to get a sticker. Now, I'm probably going to be giving these out elsewhere and all that other good stuff, so keep an eye out elsewhere, but if you're like, I need to have a sticker, that's the best way to do it. Check out Patreon, throw a couple dollars our way, and you will receive a Go Tell Us the Wall podcast sticker. So look forward to that. All right, so I want to talk a little bit. Let me do this one first. So I had a story that I teased last week, last episode, episode 40, where I came in with very minimal notes, and I was going to go off the wall, kind of off the cuff, and just run with it. And there's a story that I kind of teased, and it's not, I don't want to say this is a crazy story, but it's kind of give you an idea. It will kind of give you an idea of where I come from and kind of the mentality that I take going into really anything like this. So I've been public speaking, since I was a teenager, really. I had terrible stage fright as a kid, like terrible. I didn't want to talk in front of anyone. If I got in front of a crowd as a kid, until I was like, I don't want to say 14, 15, I would burst into laughter. I couldn't do it. Was never an actor, still not an actor to this day, was never an actor. And some point along the lines, I came in my own. And I'm not going to get into details on that, but I was involved in an organization that was attached to the church, grew up Catholic, cradle Catholic. And through that organization, I ended up kind of working my way up and getting to a point where I was doing public speaking. Like, essentially, I'm not going to not get into details, but if you're familiar with the Squires of Columbus, I was actually the top person in the state, and this would be for kids 18 and under. I was actually at the top of that in California. And so I went to a large convention for the entire state in Sacramento when I was, 16, 17. And I go up there, and I'm supposed to give a speech to about 2,000 delegates at this convention, give a speech. And I'm up the night before. I hope my father and I are at this convention. He took me up there knowing I had to give this speech. And I'm up all night writing this speech. I'm writing on note cards, as you do. You write on note cards. I took speech, class in high school, writing on note cards. Working all night, got no sleep, minimal sleep. Did sleep a little bit. Get up the next morning, had some breakfast. I'm doing my speech in the afternoon. Nervous as heck. I've spoken in front of people at this point, but we're talking 2,000 people. And nervous as all get out. And so what I did was, they bring me backstage at this huge convention center. It's in a hotel, but a huge convention center in their downtown Sacramento. They bring me backstage. And then they go to call me up to the stage. And I'm holding my note cards. And they call me up to the stage. And all of these, about 2,000 people stand and start clapping as I'm walking out on stage. Talk about adding to stage fright, right? I mean, just completely adding to stage fright. And so as I'm walking out, I realize, I don't want to be robotic. I didn't want to be robotic. So I literally took my note cards and I stuck them in my pocket. I stuck them in my pants pocket, and I walked up to that podium. And I'll never forget this to this day. I walked up to that podium and I literally told all 2,000 people, I said, I had the speech written. And this is honest to God truth, hand to God. And I'm not, this is, people say, I had the speech written. I threw it. No, I didn't make a thing of throwing the cards away or anything. Just had them in my pocket. And I said to these 2,000 people, I said, I was going to come up here, I had a speech written and everything else, but I wanted to talk from the heart. And it was from that day forward that really anytime I spoke publicly in front of people, which has been many, 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 many times over the years, whether I was giving a speech or a talk, working a retreat, and whatever it might have been. Of course, mobile DJing, which I did a lot of that in my day. Still do it now and then hosting live events nowadays, which I do quite a bit of as well. So that I would say that was the moment where I realized, I'm not going to be that guy that is constantly scripting things. And still to this day, I'm really not that guy with Go Tell It to the Wall podcast. What I do take some notes, simply because I'm sitting here for an hour, and I always say, I'm doing show prep, I did some research, whatever it is. It's really not research. It's really me just pulling current topics and then putting my spin on them, adding common sense to them, or other things that I am passionate about, or I know people are passionate about. That's that hashtag have passion. We use that quite a bit here at Go Tell Us the Wall podcast. So I just wanted to share that with everyone to kind of give you an idea, because I did tease it last week, and I think everyone has their own journey, no matter what you do. If you're an actor, a dancer, you're a lawyer, whatever it is, a doctor, everyone has their own path where something told them that was their path. And I will never forget that day where I was told, this is kind of my path. This is kind of my path. Now, did I deviate? Yes. Yeah. I went into marketing for 10 years at the major studios here in Los Angeles, in Hollywood. They're actually in Los Angeles. For those of you that don't actually live in Los Angeles, you think, oh, Hollywood, it's all in Hollywood. In Hollywood, it's homeless people and people drinking too much and tourists. That's really what Hollywood is. Everything, and there's a couple studios right there near Hollywood, but the majority of them are elsewhere. Hollywood is a bit of a tourist trap. So everyone has their journey, and that's something I will never forget personally for the rest of my life. As I continue this journey and continue, I'm a young guy, and I chose to kind of restart my career in my 30s, which is interesting because Zach Braff actually has, and my wife said this to me earlier, because I'm always having trouble with the content, and am I good enough for what we're doing? Am I entertaining? Are we, and she said, if you've never gotten a sign before, Zach Braff, who was the star of Scrubs and had some films and everything else, has a new show coming out where he's a father, and he gave up his current job to start a podcast and to continue to grow that podcast. Haven't seen the show yet, but I'm a big Zach Braff fan, and thank you to my wife for pointing that out as a little bit of a sign, because I do believe in those signs very, very, very much so. So that being said, I want to invite you all in personally, and I say this because I talk about my personal life on the podcast, and I talk about it with the hopes that maybe someone out there can relate. I've talked about my mental illness, always talk about my mental illness. I've talked about my opinions on certain things. And when it comes to my personal life, I really do share that with many of you. And I have I've talked about this a little bit in the past. And that would be my biological father. And I know I've mentioned this in the past, because I talk about my dad and I've mentioned my biological father, who are obviously two different people. Well, the weirdness this week, I got a call on Monday, actually from my mother. She got a random call from, and for the purposes of not having to say biological father, his name was Michael. And for a long time, for many, 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 many years, I've referred to him as Michael, simply because that's his name. I have a dad. He's my biological father. His name is Michael. My mother gets a phone call. She's actually up in Oregon right now for work. Gets a phone call from the community that he was living in Florida. And they didn't have any other contact info. So weirdly, they called my mother, who's his ex-wife, and informed her that he had unfortunately passed away. So then she called me right after she hung up with him. I just got a really weird call, and she said, Michael passed away. And she's like, I don't think anyone knows. I don't think I was the first to find out. And sure enough, she was. So I called the place to get some more info. I said, I'm his biological son, and I know you don't have any contact info. And, so I get a little more information from the place. But then, of course, I have to turn around, because I have a sister who we share that same biological father, different mothers. We share that same biological father. I had to turn around and then call her. Now, Michael is someone, I have not seen this person in almost 30 years. Haven't seen him almost 30 years. My sister Bridget has seen him. She spent Thanksgiving with him. And so the weirdness came in because I've had a loss. And those of you that listen to the podcast, I had a lot of loss in 2017. A lot. Just too much. And then sure enough, like a week into 2018, more loss. Now, it's weird because I didn't have a relationship with Michael. Just didn't. Now, Bridget did. So the first part of that, the hard part, was telling my sister that her father had passed away. Calling her and telling her that her father had passed away. It really hit me that night after I told her. I said, this is not something I was ever prepared to do. In fact, I knew this was one day going to come. I figured she would be calling me to tell me. Then on top of that, I've been just days of, we didn't have a relationship, but it's still one of these weird things, one of these weird things where I wouldn't say I'm grieving, but I have feelings about it. I have feelings about it. We didn't have a relationship, but it's still one of those things. So, Wall fans, bear with me, especially if you're watching on a live feed. That's kind of what I've been going through this week. I lost a biological father. I didn't lose a dad, but I lost a biological father, who I knew, but didn't have a relationship with. And this is just one of those things. And I'm going to tell anyone out there, if you've been in this situation, it's okay to be a little confused. I'm still confused. Not confused, and not conflicted, but just weird. It's weird. I have feelings, not sadness, not relief, not anything, just weird. And so know that out there, Wall fans, if anyone's listening, it's okay. It's okay to feel weird. You know? Things don't have to be black and white. But my thoughts are especially with my sister and with Michael's sisters who are still living. And in fact, I've spoken on the podcast about my godfather, Ben Grogan. That was Michael's brother, who was gunned down in 1986. And unfortunately, Michael's other brother, Pat, passed away quite a few years back. So now his sisters have had to bury 3 brothers, which I can't imagine having to deal with that. I've watched my mother do it once. That would be 3 times that they've had to do it. And it's just too much. It's too much. So my thoughts and prayers. I know we make fun of that because the politicians always say, thoughts and prayers. My thoughts and prayers very much are with Michael and the rest of the Grogan family. And again, please just bear with me. I like to share these things with the hopes that it will help someone else. You know, I always with the thought of there are many people out there with mental illness. In fact, I've been watching that show Shameless, and there's a lot of mental illness going on in there as well. All right, on that note, we're going to move along. We're going to get a little bit of ranting. Actually, let's tease the beer. Hi, Bridget. Bridget has joined us. She will keep me in line. I'm going to tease the beer this week. We have a little Sierra Nevada Hot Bullet Double IPA. Hot Bullet Double IPA. This is at Sierra Nevada. I think I've had Sierra Nevadas on here before. They're a little bit bigger brewery. I'm actually waiting because I got a beer subscription for Christmas from my brother-in-law and sister-in-law. So I'm waiting for those beers to come in. Hopefully we'll have some nice craft beers for you, some more unique stuff. This one I think you can just buy elsewhere, like elsewhere. Elsewhere. You can buy this one in the grocery store. I got this one at like Vons here in Los Angeles. So we're going to try and get some more unique ones in here, but I do recommend the Sierra Nevada Hot Bullet Double IPA. It's a tasty one if you like IPAs. It is a little hoppy if you're not an IPA fan, so don't go run out getting it if you're not an IPA fan. We do too many IPAs here on the podcast. It's kind of out of hand. So we're going to try to switch that up here in 2018. We're going to try to switch it up in 2018 just so we can get more of the lesser known beers out there and just for your knowledge. I mean, I enjoy drinking beer, but this is also to kind of like show everyone out there new beers. That's what I try to do, And on that note, let's get into some social. And I want to tease a little bit of social here because the thing is, I said it last week. I literally have content ready to go up on YouTube in addition to what's already on there, new content. Now, with everything that happened this week, it's just been a weird week, and I didn't have time to deal with that, so it has not gone up yet, and I don't have additional help this week to actually get stuff posted. But for the avid Wall fans, coming soon on YouTube, we are going to have, of course, Go Tell It to the Baby. That's coming. Go Tell It to the Baby is coming. We've already got content. In addition to that, we're going to have a how-to video playlist. That's right. For those of you that listen to the podcast and watch on the live feed every week, you know that I make fun of those how-to videos because they go through a complete explanation and read the entire manual of whatever they're doing a how-to on because they're trying to get clicks and all this other stuff. And they need to show off that they can read a manual, I guess. I don't know. But I guess that's what they're doing. However, what we're going to do is have some how-to videos, but debunk all the other idiotic videos that are out there. Like the one I talked about a while back where the guy was showing you how to unscrew your Surface pen, the stylus that comes with Microsoft Surface. I've actually got one sitting right here. As you know, if you're an avid fan, I am a Microsoft Surface user. And basically telling people how to break their pen just to change the stylus in there. Hey, Jeff. Good to see you. We're having more people join on the live feed here. And basically showing people how to break their pen. They're stylists. So what we're going to do is debunk those videos. Now, it's going to be a how-to, but we're going to debunk videos like that and show how to properly do things. And without reading a manual beforehand. We'll probably have a little bit of fun with it. But without reading a manual beforehand, we're going to do these how-to videos. So that's coming on YouTube. And of course, something I've been wanting to do, and we're finally launching it, we're going to do some product reviews in addition to beer reviews. I think I've said we're going to do beer reviews, but we're also going to do some product reviews. Now, keep in mind, this is going to be stuff kind of that's in my world, in Go Tell It to the Wall podcast world, and stuff that I like, you know, like Vans. We've got the hot Vans sweatshirt going tonight. It's going to be kind of that stuff, but we're going to get that content up there, and I promise you, lots of common sense, of course, but also some comedy and all the good stuff. So keep an eye out for that. It's going to be up before the next episode. Like I said, it should have been up this week. It's just been a very, very weird, long week that I'm getting through, and kind of happy the week's over, to be totally honest with you. All right, a little more social. I hate doing this. I really do. But I feel like, because I know that Wall fans really have common sense. So this is a platform where I can do this, and it's not going to lead to what it has elsewhere. And that would be the completely idiotic asshole that is Logan Paul. That's right. Logan Paul, we've talked about him. A year ago, I talked about the guy on the podcast, and I said he's a sociopath and a psychopath, and it's going to get worse, and blah, 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 blah. I, patted myself on the back last week. Well, what happened was he did his little apology video where, I'm sorry that I lost money and I lost fans and people got mad. You know what happened after that apology video, Wall fans? Do you know what happened? And this is an example of what's wrong with the world. This is why the Orange Menace can be elected into office. After that apology video, where we all realized the guy was an asshole, which I did to begin with, but really the rest of the world should realize the guy's an idiot. After that apology video, his subscriber numbers increased by 80,000. 80,000 subscribers after his apology video. Hey YouTube, sorry I'm a complete asshole, and I did something that's really just reprehensible. Click, 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 like, subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. This is the world we live in, Wall fans. This is the world we live in. We're this guy. Just honestly, what is wrong with people? What is wrong with people? And on top of that, YouTube, which I sit here and I'm always disparaging YouTube because they're not doing their freaking job. They're just not doing their job. Well, YouTube finally came out and spoke out against it. 11 days later, they finally put out a statement the other day, 11 days after the video went up, and not even mentioning the fact that they let the video go up, despite the fact that the video was flagged and reported. Gosh, I'm getting a little feedback. Are you guys getting a little feedback in my headphones? I may need to get the pop filter out here. But that's the world we live in, Wall fans. That's the world we live in. And in fact, on that same note, the gullibility of people in this world and people on the internet and social platforms is just amazing. It's amazing. And let me give you an example of that. There's a little story that came out about the Orange Menace and kind of what he does in the White House, like his day-to-day. Well, the thing is, if you go back and look at it, it's actually a little, I don't want to call it a complete parody, but it wasn't completely true. And part of that was that he insists on having the Gorilla Channel on all day. And he had the White House staffers make sure he could get the Gorilla Channel like in his office or his room, his house within the White House, the East Wing, I think, is where the residence is. Well, here's the thing, Wall fans. There's no Gorilla Channel. There's no Gorilla Channel. But what happened was people read this article and started searching for the Gorilla Channel, thinking the Gorilla Channel existed. That's the gullibility of society and of the internet. Looking for the Gorilla Channel that didn't exist because an article said the Orange Menace watches the Gorilla Channel. Think. And in fact, really, this only came on my radar because a Netflix tweet came out, and Netflix tweeted, "Stop asking us for the Gorilla Channel, we don't have the Gorilla Channel." And my wife actually brought this up with me. She's like, "What is the Gorilla Channel? Is that a thing?" I was like, I don't even know. And then sure enough, like a day later, I find an article, oh, people are just dumb. I mean, come on. I've said this so many times before, I don't even want to say it again. I don't even want to say it again. Because if you're believing everything you read on the internet, there's no helping you. There's just no helping you. There is no helping you. But the Gorilla Channel doesn't exist. I will back up on that a little bit, because I do believe a Gorilla Channel does now exist. I don't know, Chris, if you're on, or Bridget, Chris might know this right offhand, our fact checker. I believe Vice put together a YouTube channel. It's all gorillas, and but they did it because of the ridiculousness that came out of the Gorilla Channel and everything else. So the Gorilla Channel, like on cable, it doesn't exist. It's like a YouTube channel. So get over it. Stop searching for the Gorilla Channel. Fortunately, I know Wall fans have a lot of common sense, and probably, maybe, even if you did look for the Gorilla Channel, it took you like 5 minutes to go, oh, that's not a real thing. Okay. All right, let's move along here. Now, I debated having this one in social or sports, but I left it in social because it kind of started out as a social thing, I guess. And I want to pull the exact quote here. Let me see here. And that would be Floyd Mayweather. And I've talked about Floyd Mayweather before on this podcast. He's a domestic abuser. I mean, we shouldn't even be giving him airtime. However, he does still get airtime because he is basically the winningest boxer of all time, debatably, which I will debate people on that because I'm not even a huge boxing fan, but debatably. But he was doing an interview with Men's Health. And I want to give you kind of exact quotes here because this is just an example, more example of the ignorance of people and just kind of like making things about themselves. So we have people like Floyd Mayweather, and this is the same thing I talk about the Kardashians. You know, we lift them up, and we lift up just bad role models and bad examples for our kids and for our teens and for society. And here's one here. Why are we lifting up Floyd Mayweather? Here's just an example of why we shouldn't be. So Men's Health asked, and they said, we've been asking a lot of men, in light of the hashtag #MeToo movement, how can men grow in 2018? And so Floyd Mayweather's response, the who? I hadn't even heard of Me Too. The Me Too, and then Men's Health, the Me Too movement, women speaking out about sexual assault. And then here's Floyd Mayweather's response. And this, like, it makes me weep for humanity. Oh, because when you say Me Too, my thing was this. When somebody, this is direct quote, and I quote, oh, because when you say Me Too, my thing was this. When somebody be like, I got a Rolls Royce, I'd be like, me too. When somebody say they got a private jet, I say, me too. I got two. Me too. It's amazing. It's amazing. The ignorance. And here we go. Men's Health is interviewing this person, probably putting this in their magazine, and that's the kind of responses you get. I just don't get it. In fact, there's another quote, and I quote, well, I didn't know. My Me Too movement from the beginning was whenever somebody said I'm like Me Too, somebody say they got $1 billion, I say I made $1 billion, me too, end quote. Jesus Christ. Oh God, Wall fans. It makes me want to drink, and just go to sleep until common sense can once again rule the land. I don't think common sense ever did. But you know what we can do, Wall fans? We can spread the common sense. We can spread the common sense. All right, let's move along here on a little bit of social. I've got an important plug here, too, that I've got in social, so make sure you're paying attention for that one. This other stuff's junk. I'm just reminded. What's up, AJ? I see you jumping there on the live feed. Yeah, that's the thing. I can't get over this Floyd Mayweather stuff. Because it's one thing to not know the hashtag #MeToo, but then the response, like the ignorant response. Like, even if you're like, oh, I didn't understand that, and someone tells you it's all about sexual assault and standing up for sexual assault and sexual harassment. He's like, well, I got $1 billion. Like, wait, what? What just happened? And this is why the Orange Menace was elected to office. Because of people like Floyd Mayweather. Because, unfortunately, there are too many people like Floyd Mayweather in this world. Ignore all the other stuff. Grab him by the pussy. Oh, but he's rich. Oh, he's a billionaire. Oh. Come on. I weep. I weep for humanity. Fortunately, there's a lot of us out there with common sense, and hopefully there's more. Those of us with common sense are breeding more than the ones that don't have common sense, and we can continue to cultivate that within the world. That's all I can hope for. All right, this is a funny one. I know everyone's going to enjoy this one. And I put this one in social because this one became viral because a guy captured a photo at a Costco in Santa Clarita, California, which is just north of Los Angeles if you're not familiar with Southern California. It's actually right near where blanking on it. Magic Mountain. Six Flags Magic Mountain is. There's actually an awesome outlet center up there, near there in Camarillo. I only say awesome because they have big Vans outlet. I go in there and drop some money on Vans. I could drop $1 billion on Vans, Floyd. No, I'm just kidding. There'd be a lot of freaking Vans. I'd have to have a whole house for my Vans because Vans cost like $40. We're not talking Jordans here. We're talking $40 canvas shoes. All right. Anyway, Costco in Santa Clarita. Guy captured this on January 4th. January 4th, he captured this with his camera and then posted it to social media, and it became viral. A woman came into the Costco in Santa Clarita on January 4th, dragging her Christmas tree that she had purchased there in December. She went to the return counter with her Christmas tree and told the person working the return counter that she would like to return her Christmas tree because it was dead. This was January 4th. Well, wall fans, what happens to Christmas trees? They die. If you have a real Christmas tree, it dies. You know, get on that fake Christmas tree train, man. I tell you, that's so much easier. It takes up a little more space in your garage because you got to put the thing in there for, 8 months. But really, get on the fake Christmas tree train. I'm telling you, if you there's nothing wrong with real Christmas tree. If you love them, that's fine. It's just so much easier. Here's the crazy thing about Costco. They have such a ridiculous return policy. Costco took the damn thing back and gave her a refund. They took the return on the dead Christmas tree and gave her a refund. Now, wall fans, that being said, I want to hear all of your ridiculous stories. Try to return anything you can. And I do have a funny story for you. I've said this. In fact, I usually, when there's something weird about, like, I don't want to say, like, weird. I'm not trying to scam the system, but when it's like, there's this part of this is, like, I leave it to my wife. I'm like, honey, you return this. Like, I don't have the, if I'm just straight up returning something like, nah, I don't want, like, that's fine. But when there's something like weird, like I gotta have a conversation, like I'm like, honey, can you return this? Can you make that phone call? And I get that because I grew up with a mother who was very good at returning things. And in fact, when I was a teenager, this was when the Discman, like the portable CD players, had like just come out and become popular. And I had one that I'd gotten for Christmas. Months and months and months and months later, and I think my mother must have given it to me for Christmas. I'm like, oh shoot, my disc, like it messed up. This is when you had to use CDs, millennials out there, I know. And now the non-millennials are like, I had to use cassettes. I had to use cassettes too, calm down. But I did get CDs as a teenager. And they weren't very durable. And I think this particular Discman CD player that I had came from Walmart. Right there. Oh, not going to get high quality there. So like 10 months later, almost a year later, I said to him, my Discman broke. Can we go get a new Discman? I'm a teenager. I mean, I think I have maybe I might have said, I'm going to go get a new Discman. I had my own money, but those things were like $150. I mean, it's when they were brand new, like $150. They're not cheap. And my mom goes, what's wrong with this? It's broken. It's not working. Oh, don't worry. We'll go return it. Return it? I said to my mother, Ma, it's been like 10 months. I don't think they'll take it back. Nah, we'll return it. We'll return it. So I give it to her. She goes to Walmart the next day. Comes home. Brand new Discman in the box. She goes, yeah, I returned it. I told him it didn't work. I was like, what? What do you mean you told him it didn't work? I mean, I feel like I got my use out of it. I probably broke the damn thing. Nope. Returned it. So that being said, that's why I have my wife do those more difficult things. And I would love to hear your funny stories, wall fans, really anybody out there, of stuff that you've returned. Because I find it hilarious. And especially if you're doing it at Costco. Maybe let's push the envelope a little. If anyone out there still has a Christmas tree laying around, I mean, you should probably get rid of the thing, because January 6th was almost a week ago. That's when the Christmas decorations come down. And if you had a real tree, it's probably very, very dry and very, very fire hazardy. New Go Tell Us the Wall podcast term, wall fans, hazardy. But if you still have one, let me know, because I would love to get some people trying to return the damn thing to Costco. If you got it at Costco. I would love to see if you could do it even now. We're like almost a month removed from Christmas. Let's see how far we could push it. Like just straight up bring the trunk in. Oh, it died. I don't know what happened. It must have died. And that actually reminds. Oh my gosh. See, we're getting very tangented, but I feel like this is a fun story, and I do want to bring this up because I have been guilty of it in one instance previously. When I was a teenager. Young teenager, like 13. My parents and I lived in an apartment complex for about a year. We were between houses. And my very, very good friend that I've known since we were in third grade, Art McCann. I've mentioned him on the podcast. I'm sure he's a big fan of the podcast. He's going to listen to this and probably remember this story. We lived right near a Walmart. There's a Walmart in Poway, California, where we live, Southern California, San Diego, near San Diego. And we used to go over there all the time. They had a big, like, fish department, fish and aquatics department. We'd go over there and we'd get a couple fish, and we had, like, a fish bowl. And I even had, like, a crawfish. And they had this policy at Walmart that if your fish died within, like, 10 days, you could bring it back, and they would give you a new fish. And the thing is, I remember laughing at that when I first saw it as like a 13-year-old, like, people bring fish back in? The thing was, they did this as like no, you'll be okay even if it dies, but the majority of people weren't returning them. Well, my buddy Art and I, we'd go in there and get fish once in a while. Like just fun little goldfish. We each had like a fish bowl in our room. I can't remember exactly where it was. Like I said, I had a crawfish who used to try to attack the fish. A couple times we had the fish die. Like, we had fish that died. Well, you better believe Art and I were taking those fish back across the street over to Walmart, and we did it a couple times, literally carrying a dead fish in a plastic bag over to Walmart to get ourselves a new fish. Yeah, so I guess I've been there too on the return thing, but Walmart's fault for making that their policy. I don't think Costco had a policy like, return your dead Christmas tree. I don't think that was happening. So that did happen. All right, one more thing on social, and this would be the big controversy going on with H&M. H&M is a clothing store, if you're not familiar with it. Super cheap clothing. I don't go in there. I'm way too old to be walking in there. Way too old and not hip enough to be walking in there. I did this last week. I had to go to the Glendale Galleria. It's a mall, big mall here in Los Angeles. I went there with my daughter, and I had to return a couple things from Christmas. It's the main reason I went there. But I was looking for some new T-shirts, and I was going to hit the Vans store. if I'm ever stuck in a mall, I go to the Vans store. And I walked into like a few different stores, and I'm pushing my daughter in a stroller. Most of the stores, and I was just like, I'm way too old to be standing in here. And I realized after I left the mall, I was like, I don't need to be going to malls anymore for the rest of my life, unless I'm going to I'm a big Macy's shopper. That's where I get the majority of my clothes. It's just easy, you know. But even then, you don't necessarily have to go to like a big mall to go to a Macy's. I got a freestanding one right here in my neighborhood. That's kind of where I go. So anyway, H&M, they had a controversy because they had a catalog image of a boy wearing a hooded sweatshirt, and it's an African-American boy, and the hooded sweatshirt has across the front, coolest monkey in the jungle. This is an African-American boy. So think about that for a minute, Wall fans. If I have to explain that to you, just do a little Googling. That is a derogatory term for someone with dark skin, for someone who's African-American, anything along those lines. You know, if you're not familiar with it, Google it. Or don't Google it, just know it's insulting. It's insulting. You know, it's like constantly calling me dumb because I'm Polak. It goes along the same lines, you know. Much worse. I would say this is much worse, simply because African Americans have been part of systematic racism for too long. This is much worse. But as an example, you know, from my side, that could be kind of an example. And so what happened was everyone spoke out against this, including LeBron James. LeBron James came and spoke out against it. In fact, people with Photoshop skills then started to Photoshop different letters on the thing. You know, like, I can't remember any of them offhand. I honestly can't. But more positive stuff instead of coolest monkey in the jungle. It's so hard for me to understand how this gets passed. How is this okay, H&M? H&M came out and apologized and removed it. You know, okay, it slipped by. Well, then what happened in the past couple days is the mother of this young boy came out and defended the photo through Facebook and through social media, and saying everyone is being too sensitive. Well, Wall fans, I want to know what you think, because I think this is absolutely wrong to be promoting a sweatshirt that says coolest monkey in the jungle, really on anybody, but especially on a young African-American boy. Inexcusable. It's completely inexcusable. Thank you. AJ Calabrese is hitting me. That was one of them. Coolest king on the playground. I think that was one of LeBron James. They were switching them up, understandably. But the mother defended it and said that everyone's being oversensitive. And I got to be honest, I think she's absolutely dead wrong here. You know? Because imagine a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white boy, saltiest cracker in the box. Would that be okay? Would that be okay, Wall fans? Saltiest cracker in the box. I mean, think about it. You know? Or like I can't think off the top of my head, but an Asian sweatshirt with something to do with rice. Like, would that be okay? No, it wouldn't be okay. Now, of course, the mother has deleted everything, and you can do your Googling, and if you want to see the screenshots of it, that's fine. I get it. But inexcusable as far as I'm concerned. All right, I do have one more thing for social, and it's fantastic that the great AJ Calabrese has joined us for the live feed. That's right, Wall fans. AJ Calabrese is a friend of mine from high school, but he also happens to be one of the co-hosts of the new-ish, few episodes in, podcast called Dad Fiction. Dad Fiction. Now, Wall fans, I want all of you to go out, check out Dad Fiction, especially those of you that just listen to audio, because I know we pulled 2,000 to 3,000 subscribers on the audio. We pull like 100 on Facebook. It's like, can we get a little connection here? You know, Podomatics doing some Facebook. I don't know. Yeah, see, and that's AJ's bringing up a good point. So I want to go back to. I'm going to promote Dad Fiction a little bit more. That's something that I'm a big proponent of here at Go Tell It to Wall podcast, and AJ's bringing up a good point. People are way too sensitive in general, and I will agree with that, and I find myself doing that personally. However, the important thing that AJ is bringing up here is the reactions to it should make you realize that it is offensive to people, and I've said that many times on the podcast. If it offends one person, then it's offensive, then it's offensive. And this is one of those situations. So thank you, AJ, the great AJ Calabrese of the podcast Dad Fiction. Check them out on Facebook. Just search Dad Fiction. You can check out their website, dadfiction.net. Dadfiction.net. And of course on YouTube, just search Dad Fiction, right? And if you're on the live feed, AJ, go ahead and hit us with some links if you feel like it. For those of you just listening, do the searching, all that good stuff. And we'll figure out where their actual pod is hosted, because that always helps too. I'm sure they're on the iTunes and everything else, but I know they're on a big push for YouTube and for the website. So just check out dadfiction.net or search them on YouTube. All right, let's get into a little TV, film, and books. I do have a follow-up. Oh, do I have a follow-up? I got to take a sip of beer before this one. So last episode, I talked a little bit about geek porn and how apparently that's a thing. Like romance novels for male geeks. Not even romance novels, geek novels. For males with gratuitous sex in them. And I talked about a book called Pen is My Dear. I was like, I'm not going to read this book again. Well, Wall fans, the other night, going to bed, and I needed something to read. And so the easiest thing to do is just pick up my Kindle, go back to where I was in that book. I was like, I'll give it another shot. Maybe I was being a little ridiculous. I'll give it another shot, Well, it just got worse. To the point where and I talked about it last week, if you hadn't listened last week, the gratuitous sex in it, and not only that, but just the descriptions of every female in it. Like he's walking along, and there is, and it's not like, oh, I passed this gorgeous blonde woman in the subway, or this woman that had a pierced nose, or no. This woman had breasts like melons and all. Like, it's like, Jesus Christ. Well, it just got worse. The gratuitous sex. And the main character, and I put it down after this point, main character starts off with one woman, then another woman shows up and he turns it into a threesome. Then those two women go to bed, and another woman shows up and he's messing around with that woman and it's just like, I don't, like, pornography is so accessible these days. Like, can I just get a normal friggin' book? Like, everything is so hyper-sexualized these days. It's amazing. And I've mentioned that many times on the podcast. Like, we don't have to sexualize everything. I get it. Sex sells. Okay, whatever. If you all need me to take off my shirt and sell some sex here for the podcast to get some light. No, that'd probably have the opposite effect. I'm not sure. It might be. That might be the one. I'll have to, I'm going to look at the exact title. I'm getting a question if it's written Pen is, but Pen, like, 15. That might be. Gosh, see, I haven't paid much attention to the book. I'll get back to Wall fans on that one, just in case you do want to check out some geek porn. But it's ridiculous. Like I said, everything's hyper-sexualized. And I get it. I've talked about it before. Carl's Jr. ads back in the 90s. All this other, everything. Sex sells. Everything. But it's really getting tiresome. Like, for me personally, and I know I can't be the only one that is becoming tiresome, because everything doesn't have to have sex in it. I've been watching that show Shameless. It's very vulgar. It's very vulgar. Drug use and sex and cursing and everything. But there's like unnecessary sex scenes, and I get it. Okay, we're throwing unnecessary sex scenes. We all saw The Specialist back in the day with Sylvester Stallone and what's her face who never wears Sharon Stone. Like, no, yeah, unnecessary sex. I get it, but it doesn't have to be in everything. It doesn't have to seep into everything. And in fact, I find myself watching Shameless, and they start getting into like, and it's not like super gratuitous porn sex scene, but they get into a sex scene. I find myself being like, okay, another sex scene. Can we just get through this and move the friggin' story along? Like, I don't need, like, okay, yeah, that woman has sex with a lot of guys. That guy has sex with a lot of guys. Like, I get it. Oh, she is having sex with an 18-year-old. Oh, my God. And a sex scene for every single one of them. So, Wall fans, if you love it, that's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But there's many of us out there that are just like, okay, I get it. I get it. People have sex. I get it. I have a daughter. I get it. Obviously, I have had sex. I get it. But it doesn't need to be shoved in our face every 5 minutes. Especially to the point where it takes away from a show or from a commercial. Or makes me just honestly, I just don't want to watch it. Like this book. This book might have been good if the author didn't make it geek porn and put sexist descriptions of all the female characters in it. So, I'm going back to Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Rereading all of Sherlock Holmes, which I've read multiple times. All of Sherlock Holmes I will be rereading. What? No, Yelp's giving me... I'll tell you, Yelp, I don't need notifications from Yelp. I get a notification every day from Yelp. Hot new restaurant in your area. Yeah, Yelp, I live in Highland Park. Like, it's nationally recognized as an up-and-coming neighborhood. Of course there's a hot new place. I don't need you to tell me about it anyway. I'm just seeing little notifications come up. We're very tangented this week. God, you would think I wasn't, like, had no prep this week. That was last week. Ugh. I think it is the weirdness. You know what I think it is with the sex? I think there's a lot of adults out there that just didn't get it out of their system at a young age, and now they're making up for it. Or maybe the guy writing the book. Like, I really don't mean to be insulting because I don't know the author of that book. I have a feeling the author of that book did not get laid a lot as a younger gentleman. And he's definitely a male writer. I don't even know the name of the author. It's a male. Because I even females interested in other females, I don't think would be writing like that. Unfortunately for me and for all the other males out there, females, they tend to think a little bit wiser than the rest of us who are thinking with something below our waist. All right, let's get into a little TV film books. I'm going to tell everyone, no music, no sports this week. No music, no sports. Who cares? TV, film, and books. I do have one thing on film. That was books that we were talking about and TV. I do have one thing on film, and I found this interesting. And of course, the mouse is at it again. What do you know? The mouse, Disney. Come on, Bob, do better. Well, they're working on a live-action feature for Aladdin. We're all familiar with Aladdin. Get over. Like, I'm not going to get into explanations on Aladdin. Animated film from Disney in the 90s. They're doing a live action because that's what Disney does, is they beat everything to death. And if they have a minor success with one thing, they're going to continue to beat everything to death. And that would be the live action versions of all of their animated films. They did this Maleficent thing. They did Beauty and the Beast and all that other stuff. And now they're doing Aladdin. Speaking of beating things to death, all the Marvel stuff is failing on television. It's amazing. It's amazing. Not because I want the Marvel stuff to fail. The amazing part is, it's so very Disney. They caught a little bit of success with a Marvel show. Little bit of success. And then it's like all in. Chips in the middle. Marvel! And then they're like, oh, shoot. Oh, all those other shows weren't successful? All those other shows that were basically just like shit in a film can? Oh. Well, how's that possible? Well, maybe you should have learned that from High School Musical 3. Think about it, mouse. Anyway, they're filming Aladdin right now. They're in production on Aladdin. And the same old ridiculousness is coming up, because Aladdin, it takes place in the Middle East. You know, it's Aladdin. I think they're in Arabia, or, you know, nobody crucify me for not knowing exactly about. I don't remember. I think my sister watched the movie when we were younger. And what's happening is, of course, they've hired a bunch of white actors, which is one thing. It's terrible, you know. I mean, I was up in arms when Chris, you're on. Help me out. Black Widow actress, blanking on her name, when she was in Ghost in the Shell. I was up in arms because I'm like, dude, it's an anime film. Agrabah. Agrabah is where it is. Thank you. That sounds. What did I say? That's something totally wrong. Really, that is my ignorance. I'm not trying to be insulting. I'm not familiar with the Middle East, and it's been a long time since I've seen Aladdin. It's been a long time. That was a great Robin Williams playing the genie in the original animated film. So it's one thing that they brought in a bunch of white actors. We all know this happens. We all know Scarlett Johansson when she was in Ghost in the Shell. I was up in arms because I love Ghost in the Shell. It was an anime film. Like, why is there a white woman? So, we shouldn't accept it, but we know what's going to happen. Well, it's gotten even worse because on the set of Aladdin, they're taking these white Caucasian actors, and in order to make them look Middle Eastern, they're spray tanning them. In fact, there was a quote from one of the actors on set where they saw a white Caucasian actor who was playing like a palace guard or something, came in, looked like he was white Caucasian, went into makeup, came out a little while later, and the guy said he looked like a completely different person because they had spray tanned him. I think we can do better. I think we can do better, Disney. I think we can do better as a society. But I will tell you one thing. There is an article floating around, and this is the ridiculous George Takei. This is where I saw it because everyone shares his stuff. And in that article, there's a quote that says, they could have used Asian actors instead of white actors as all those extras. I gotta be honest, I didn't take a lot of geography in school. I'm pretty sure Asia and the Middle East, like Chinese, Japanese people, are different from people in the Middle East. I mean, I'm not positive. I'm really bad with geography. Pretty sure. So George Takei. And I say George Takei because he pulled the quote and put it on his post on social platforms. Maybe, think. Ugh. Like, it's not any better. Well, we couldn't have any Middle Eastern actors. Well, what about all these Asian actors? Wait, what do you mean? Like, it's the same thing. It's just because they're minorities doesn't make them Middle Eastern. Oh, God. All right, we got some tech news. Tech news tonight. And we have some huge tech news tonight. In fact, a little drum roll. The great and fantastic store that we all thought was dead and done many, many years ago, that is Circuit City, is back from the freaking dead. Circuit City, that's right, was announced at CES starting February 15th. February 15th. Circuit City will have a web presence and you will be able to order product off of them. They will also have experts on there to help you. Additionally, brick and mortar stores are coming back in the near future according to their CEO. Let's see if the brick and mortar actually happens. I'm not holding out hope on that. However, you will be able to access Circuit City online as of February 15th. Maybe I'll go buy a Discman. I'm sure I bought a CD player at Circuit City. I totally did. I bought CD players. I put stereos in my cars when I was younger, when you actually had to do that. You gotta get a CD player in here. You had to do that. You put speakers in and all this other stuff. That's right, kids. It was crazy back then. It was crazy. You took apart your car, not your car, but you took apart the speakers in your car and you put in higher end speakers, and you were cool because you did that. I was too. I had a CD player when I was like 18, changed colors. Oh, that's funny. It went from red to blue, and depending where I was, like red time, blue time. I know it's weird. Kids will never understand that. They're like, "What do you mean?" I just changed the color on my iPad all the time, or my iPod all the time. Oh, they don't make iPods anymore. They got the iPod Touch around still. All right, let's move along here. So that's coming back. However, this one I saved from last week, and I put this one in tech because I 100% put the blame on the tech community on Silicon Valley for this, and that would be the new trend that is raw water. Raw water. So raw water is basically completely untreated water. And what's happening up in the Bay Area and Silicon Valley right now is they are selling 2 gallons of this for $60. $60 for untreated water that could literally kill you. Could literally kill you. Now, Wall fans, if you've listened to the podcast before, you know that I always joke about the ridiculousness on the internet. In fact, I joked about it tonight on this episode. And the main thing I always say is if you look hard enough on the internet, you will find somewhere that says water is bad for you. Well, we found it, Wall fans, because raw water, it's not good for you. It's not. It's not. And in fact, I want to pull this exact quote from you, from the founder of Live Water, which is they're pushing this raw water stuff. And so just to tell you how ridiculous this is, oh my gosh, here's his quote, and I quote, and he told this to the New York Times, tap water? You're drinking toilet water with both birth control drugs in them, chloramine, and on top of that, they're putting in fluoride. Call me a conspiracy theorist, but it's a mind-controlling drug. Mind-controlling drug that has no benefit to our dental health. Oh, watch out for that fluoride, wall fans. Watch out for that fluoride. Oh, man. So, just based on that quote, you should know how ridiculous this guy is. And I can't pronounce his name. His last name's Singh, but Mukandi, and I'm not, this is just an ignorance thing. I'm not even going to try again to pronounce it. I don't want to be insulting to his name, despite the fact that he's really insulting the intelligence of the entire world by pushing this raw water stuff and saying that chloride is a mind control drug. No, man. Cleans your teeth. Ask the dentist. Unless you think the dentist is out to get you too. Then just become a hermit and stay in your house. Watching those chemtrails up in the air. Jesus Christ. Common sense. Common sense. All right. We still have plenty of time, but we're getting a little short on time. So I'm going to save CES stuff for next episode. And we will have more stuff coming out of CES. And in fact, I do want to tease this. One of the hot things at CES this year, because of the legalization of medical marijuana and recreational marijuana in many states, including Nevada, where CES takes place in Las Vegas, there's a lot of weed tech. They call it weed tech. That's kind of how they're referring to it. Marijuana tech stuff revolving around marijuana and cannabis and everything else. So we're going to talk a little bit about that next week as well. A couple more things on tech that I do just want to point out that I think is cool. One thing that did come out of CES this week is Samsung announced that on all their future handsets, their phones, that thing you hold that you occasionally talk on the phone but mainly just surf through Facebook and Twitter and all the other junk and watch YouTube videos. All of their phones moving forward, their future phones, their future handsets will include an FM chip. FM, now for those of you under the age of like 20 that might listen, FM is radio. We have these radio bands that still float around the air. They still float around the air, and there's AM and FM. You have an AM band and FM band. If your parents listen to the radio in the car, they'll probably listen to that stuff. And with this FM chip, you'll be able to pick up local radio directly to your phone. And you say, oh, but we have Spotify and all this other stuff. No, local radio. This is probably not appealing to you if you're 20 years old. This is appealing to you if you're 30 or older because you know what it's like to have local radio and how awesome that could be. I'm excited about it because I find myself pulling radio, like I listen to radio in the car, but I find myself pulling radio up through different apps, like through my Google Home and all the other things. So it'll be nice to just have the FM tuner there. And this is, if you're a sports fan, this is where it really comes in handy. Because even if a certain radio platform has a digital presence, there's a good chance that it has a digital presence and carries games, like NFL games or NBA games or whatever it might be. There's a good chance that they have restrictions and can't actually put that game on that digital platform. The ESPN Radio and NFL, they have NFL games, but they can't put them on the platform because the NFL won't let them. They're only allowed to put it out over the air on FM or AM band. So it will come in handy for that as well. So look forward to that. I'm excited about it. It seems so silly, but I'm genuinely excited about the FM chip being in all their handsets moving forward. Especially, I just happen to be a Samsung guy. I got myself a new Samsung tablet not long after Christmas. Got rid of that iPad stuff. Oh, iPad. I'm just kidding. iPad's fine. I'm not a big fan of the iPad. One other thing I want to talk about, and this really would go into tech, but also common sense, and that would be the complaints. And this is me being a little defensive because it happens to be the hardware I use, but really it's just kind of common sense. Now, a story came out about the Surface Pro line. Surface Pro. They have, that's the machines. That's literally what this podcast gets recorded on and what videos get edited on. Everything. Surface Pro 3. 3, 4, I don't know. I'm on one of the Surface Pros, not the newest one. I'm on one of them. I can't remember which one. Well, there's different levels of the Surface Pro, and they have a little bit lower level one, which is called the Surface Pro Core M3. It actually refers to the chip. Every computer has a chip. Most of them are Intel powered, and there's different generations and that can handle different speeds and everything else. This would be kind of a smaller chip, like a smaller chip that might be in a tablet. And so people are complaining that the Surface Pro M3, Core M3, isn't performing as fast as it should, as fast as the other Surface products. Well, here's the thing, wall fans, and really for any of you out there that are like, well, that's crap, it doesn't perform as fast. That's basically like me taking this tablet here and saying, well, this tablet is junk because it can't perform on the same level as this computer. Now, you know the other difference? $500, $2,000. There's a big difference. In fact, a better analogy for those of you out there that really aren't into tech, a better analogy would be if I went out and I bought a Ford Taurus, and then I pulled up next to a Ferrari and tried to drive with the Ferrari, couldn't keep up with the Ferrari, and then realized, oh, this isn't as good as a Ferrari, it must be junk. That's essentially what's happening here. Just because you bought a lower-end Surface Pro product doesn't mean it's crap, it just means you need something that can perform better. You know, you're not going to squeeze water out of a rock. Rocks are fine. You can use rocks for many things. You ain't going to get water out of it. Oh, ignorance. I mean, this is common sense, Wall fans. If you need some tips on tech, shoot me a message, and I will push you toward all the tech that I use without really any basis. No, I'm just kidding. A little bit of basis on it. It's just my own experience. All right, hey, let's run through some of this stuff because we are running out of time. All right, common sense, Wall fans. Common sense. I drove a Ford Taurus, too. I totally drove a Ford Taurus, and I drove that sucker into the ground. Nothing wrong with a Ford Taurus. I ain't saying there's anything wrong with it. It's just don't expect Ford Taurus to drive like a Ferrari. I got a Toyota Highlander in my driveway. I don't expect that thing to drive like a performance car. Nothing wrong with a Taurus, though. All right, a little common sense here. So, Orange Menace decided to spout off today. What a surprise! Orange Menace said some stupid stuff. It's kind of every day. Well, this one I took a little bit more personally than usual. You know why? Because he was sitting in a meeting in his Oval Office or wherever the hell he was sitting, and referred to a couple of third world countries near us as shitholes, and asked why we couldn't have better immigrants from countries, whatever country he referred to, like Norway or one of those. Why do we have people coming in from shitholes like Haiti? Specifically said Haiti. Well, Wall fans, what do we think of Haiti here at Go Tell to the Wall podcast? We think Haiti is a fantastic place, and we think Haiti needs a little help, and we send as much help to Haiti as we can. Why? Because very, very good friend of the podcast, Michael Patrick Harriman, is down there doing great work and has been for many years. He has his own family down there, teaches at a school, directs a choir, and continues, even after multiple hurricanes and multiple disasters, to try and rebuild the infrastructure down there. So, Mr. Orange Menace, keep your comments to yourself because many of us out here realize Haiti ain't a shithole. You know what's a shithole? Your fucking mouth. That's what's a shithole, you Orange Menace piece of shit. That's a shithole. Think about that. But Haiti, where they're down there trying to survive, doing their best, not sitting there in literally an ivory fucking house. Yeah, you live in an ivory house, paid for by me and my family and everyone else in this country. Those little vacations that you take that no one in Haiti could even dream of taking, that's paid for by me, asshole. Hopefully we've only got a matter of time until this son of a bitch is out, because I'm done with the Orange Menace. I'm done with the Orange Menace, and if you still think it's okay, stop listening to my podcast. Just stop. Stop listening to Go Tell Us the Wall podcast, because if you've seen all the stuff that's happened with the Orange Menace and you still think it's okay, there's nothing I can do to help you. There's no amount of common sense that's going to smack you back into reality. It's just not going to happen. Regardless of policy. We're not even talking policy here. This isn't Republican Democrats. This is common sense. The guy is unhinged. He's a psychopath. It's common sense. Oh, one more thing I'm going to rant about. Whoa, what a surprise, what a surprise. Oh, the great Walmart. Talked a little bit about them a little while ago. I don't shop there, as should nobody else on the face of the earth, because they are greedy. They are greedy. They bring in crap products. There's many documentaries out there that you can see. And here's the ridiculous thing. Back in December, because there's been a lot of back and forth about wages and living wages and everything else, as there should be. We shouldn't have people living below the poverty line that are working their asses off, and there's no reason for them to be living below the poverty line when Jeff Bezos is worth literally $100 billion. Not million, billion dollars. Maybe throw a fraction, you know? This is your pocket change, Jeff. Pocket change. Come on. Well, Walmart, they announced in December they were increasing wages and giving out bonuses and all this other good stuff. Yay, Walmart, yay. Well, you know what happened today? Today, out of nowhere, not even announced, just happened. Bunch of Sam's Club stores, which is owned by Walmart across the country, closed. In fact, those workers for those Sam's Club stores showed up to work this morning, the doors were locked, and they were told to go home. No notice whatsoever. Even the frickin' mouse gives you notice. Even the greedy-ass mouse and Bob Iger give you notice when you're getting laid off. But not Walmart. So yay, Walmart! You raised wages to a living wage a little bit back in December, but then you laid off ridiculous amounts of people with no warning whatsoever. No warning whatsoever. Why? Bottom line, because you're greedy. And here's the kicker on all of it, and I'm glad I mentioned Jeff Bezos just a few minutes ago. Some of those Sam's Club locations, they're closing them, but they're not getting rid of the building. You know what they're doing? They're going to use them as distribution centers because Walmart is trying to compete with Amazon. And they're doing free shipping and all this other bullshit to try and compete with Amazon, while at the same time destroying the lives of their employees. So I implore all of you out there, Wall fans, despite the fact that it has Wall in the name, the Wall came from Walton, not telling it to a wall. Despite the fact that it has Wall in the name, do not shop at Walmart. Do not shop at Walmart. I already didn't shop there, but now I definitely won't shop there. Like, I don't care. You're going to give me a free television? No, I don't even want it. I don't even want it. You know what? I take that back. If they were going to give you free stuff, go to Walmart, take the free thing, and then go donate it or sell it, and then give that money to someone that really needs the money. All right, a couple more things. If you live in the great state of Oregon, up there in the Pacific Northwest, you're now able to pump your own gas. And in fact, I want to pull a couple of these. And the only reason I'm going a little bit over time here on this is because I teased this last week. And now people in Oregon actually are afraid to pump their own gas. In fact, here's a couple of tweets that came out. This is from someone named Mike Perrone. I've lived in this state all my life and I refuse to pump my own gas. I had to do it once in California while visiting my brother and almost died doing it. This is a service only qualified people should perform. I will literally park at the pump and wait until someone pumps my gas. I can't even. Another one. No. This is Kathy Dahl. No. Disabled, seniors, people with young children in the car need help. Not to mention getting out of the car with transients around and not feeling safe too. This is a very bad idea. Grr. And here's some responses, which I very much like. And in fact, I want to find the exact one that I like. So somebody responded to this outrage that they're going to have to pump their own gas. A very bad idea that is implemented without problem in 48 out of 50 states, representing about 95% of the nation's population. For those of you out there that are not familiar, 48 out of 50. The other one, in addition to Oregon, is New Jersey. So, I mean, do we like, it's Jersey. Like, of course they're doing weird shit there. Come on. Apologies to all my friends from Jersey. I actually have a few friends from Jersey. It's okay. It's okay. Just because you're from... I was born in Florida, so... Pot, kettle, black. Yeah, I know. And there's a funny one here. Oh, my gosh. I can't even find it. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and post that one because there's another funny one. Because people are worried they're going to get murdered by transients and they're going to catch fire. And like literally, trained professionals, I started pumping my own gas at 15. Like when I had a learner's permit, and I'm positive that my mother or father made me pump the gas at some point when I was learning to drive. All right, one more thing to get at here. And I just want to point this out to everyone. If you work in an office, be careful. You don't want to be stealing things out of the fridge that you know is not yours or is labeled with someone else's. And why, you ask? Because something like this could happen. So there was a woman, I'm not even going to give the state or city or anything because we're running out of time, and someone was stealing her coffee creamer, her Natural Bliss coffee creamer. I'm familiar with this. My wife makes me buy it for her when I go to the store because she likes that sweet creamer stuff. And she had a note on it. And the note said, "Good morning to whomever has been," and this is I quote from the note, "Good morning to whomever has been enjoying my coffee creamer all week, ... Surprise! You've been drinking my breast milk. Hope you've enjoyed. Cheers." I don't even know where I stand on this. I think it's hilarious. And I will point out to all the Wall fans out there, breast milk is organic and not bad for you. You might think it's a little gross if it's someone else's breast milk. Like, I get it. But this should just serve as a warning to you. Don't steal people's food in the fridge. If you work in an office, just don't do it. Don't do it. If you have roommates, don't do it. You don't know what's going to come. Like, come on. Like, this is how people get roofied. I'm sure people are getting roofied in an office. But be smart. Don't steal people's food. Or creamer, or breast milk, for that matter, because you were essentially stealing her breast milk. All right, we're out of time, Wall fans. Oh man, that was a crazy one. I think we were more off the cuff this week than we were last week. Matt, don't lick the food. Please don't lick the food. We had someone jump on here. I believe Matt is a server and bartender. So if you go to his bar, make sure you mention my name, and he probably won't lick your food. I'm just kidding. I'm sure he's not licking food. However, we are at time, and like I said, this was a little more off the cuff this week as opposed to last week like it was. We got very tangented. It's been a very weird week for me. But don't forget, New content coming up on YouTube in the next week. Oh, security. I knew you were doing something there, man. I can't keep track of everybody. New content coming out on YouTube within the next week. It's ready. It just needs to be uploaded. I got to take time to do it. And of course, like, share, subscribe. Please tell your friends. Please tell your friends. Check out Dad Fiction, including the great AJ Calabrese. I can absolutely vouch that he will entertain you and you will have fun. It's all about being dads and funny stories. And of course, share our podcast. Tell your friends. Do all the things. All that stuff. Subscribe. And of course, if you're trying to find us, if you're only listening on the feed, you can find us on Facebook.com/GoTellItToTheWall. That is a good location, good place to find us. We're very interactive there. And of course on Twitter @TellTheWallPod or @MagicMuppet. And YouTube, as I mentioned, is coming within the next week. And of course, SeanO'RourkeLive.com. You can find everything there. Find everything there. Tell your friends. Go on the Patreon. Become a patron. Tell your friends to become patrons. Stickers coming soon. All the good stuff. Hopefully next week will be a little less weird. I'm not promising I'm going to wash my hair. We'll probably be beanied out here for a few weeks simply because it's cold enough, and I prefer just wearing beanies because I don't like doing anything with my hair. So that's it for episode 41 of Go Tell It to the Wall podcast. That's right, Wall fans. This was episode 41, and I am, of course, your host, the one and only Sean O'Rourke. We will see you out here next week. Same wall time, same wall place. And remember, no matter what you do it with passion. Have that passion, Wall fans. And of course, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, no matter who you meet, no matter why you do it, always, always, always use common sense. Oh my gosh, where's my cursor? There it is. All right, Wall fans, thanks for joining. This was, I don't even know what's happening this week. I don't even know. I don't even know. That was a fun one. We'll see. Bridget's probably she'll give me my feedback. She'll tell me if it was a good one or if it was junk. Thanks to the rest of you for joining. Thanks, Chris, for feeding me information. Of course, check out Dad Fiction on Facebook. Dadfiction.net. They're on Facebook. They're on YouTube. Dadfiction.net. And of course, I'm going to get some more info from AJ. We'll continue to cross-promote them as well, because we like to build up other podcasts, other influencers, other people that have passion, and especially those that use common sense. And I can promise you a lot of common sense from AJ and Dad Fiction. So check that out as well. Again, thanks for joining. That was a live feed for episode 41. I am the one and only Sean O'Rourke. Remember, Wall fans, passion, have passion, and common sense. And here we got episode 41, official Bridget Freeze.